Vesta got up early that morning, before Guide's bell rang to mark the start of labour, before the sun had come up and brought heat and full light. She got dressed in the dark in woolens and skirts both under and over, and a cap and 2 shawls. She had gloves that Belle had sewn for her. It was very cold. She could feel the red in her cheeks and nose, and the water in her eyes, and she could see the white smoke of her breath in the gloom. It was a biting cold, a bad cold. It was a cold that had a threat to it, not a promise, no matter what Bill Groan and the others said. Winter was supposed to go away, not come worse. 18 years Vesta had been alive, and she had never seen a white winter until the last 3, each one whiter than the one before. When she took her coat off the peg, her hands were numb despite her gloves. The twilight of dawn, a grey light made brighter by the snow, was creeping into the black hallway. By it, she found her boots and the little pot and tie of heat-house flowers she had laid out the night before. She found the pole, too, a pruning hook, strong and almost 2 meters long. It wasn't the season for pruning, but she'd left it ready, too, because Belle had said it was good to know how deep snow was before you walked on it. Snow changed the landscape and filled holes up. You could fall or vanish, or turn an ankle and lie out of help's way so long you'd freeze. They had all been told not to go out alone, especially early or late, but that was just worry. There had always been stories of things lurking up in the woods. They were stories made up to frighten children. Vesta had things to do. Some old dog bothering the herds wouldn't bother her. She saw her name on the label above her peg. Harvester Flourish. Next to it, Belle's name. Next to that, an empty peg. Belle was not one for sentiment. She was older and she was clever. However, Vesta Flourish could not let the day go unmarked. Chauncey Plowright had made them all metal cleats for their boots. Bill Groan, the elect, gave Chauncey permission to make them out of leftover sheepskin, and there wasn't much of that remaining. Vesta had hoped when she woke she wouldn't need to use them. But she did. Snow had come again in the night, overlaying the snow from the days before. Everything had a soft, curved edge to it. In the yard, the sky was night blue, the colour of Belle's eyes, first light and clear all the way to the stars. The rooftops and chimneys of beside, bearded with snow, were black against the blue, and so were the bare trees beyond, and the great rising plateaus of the firmers. The plumes of steam coming from the vents on the tops of the firmers were luminous white against the cobalt blue. They were catching the earliest rays of sunlight because they were so much higher up than anything else. Vesta turned on her solamp and hung it from her pole. Then she started to walk, her metal cleats crunching, her pruning pole probing the snow cover, one hand holding up the hem of her overskirts. A dog barked in the yard. In the byre behind the Flourish house, the cattle were lowing. She followed the north lane out of beside, past the well, and up towards Woodby, which lay in the shadow of Firmer number 2. It was slow going. It was hard work striding over the ground that sank under you. Vesta's legs began to ache. She stopped to rest for a minute and looked down at the streams that fed the autumn mills. They were frozen like glass in that stilled place between night and morning. By the time she reached Woodby, she knew she would not manage to get back to beside before Guide's bell rang and called them to work. She resolved to work on after night chime to make up. Vesta also knew that the people of the Plant Nation community would excuse her. They would allow her an hour or so once a year. Woodby was quiet. The trees were like silent figures with snowy caps. Autumn had taken their leaves, but winter was bowing their black branches and trunks. Vesta's solamp was beginning to flutter, its charge worn out, but it was getting lighter by the minute. The blue sky and the white snow were both tinged with pink from the sun to be. As she walked along in the quiet, she felt for one moment that someone was following her. But it was just the stillness and her imagination. The memory yard was in the centre of Woodby, a place chosen years ago as a quiet bit of earth. Patience was said to be the greatest virtue of all Morphans, and those who lay here were the most patient of all. Simple stones
Sample complete. Ready to continue?